Welcome back. It's episode number, what are we on now? Episode 7 of Let's Learn Angular series, where I record myself learning Angular in real time. And we forgot to review everything that we learned at the end of the last video, which we usually read the summary at the end, but that's okay. We can recap at the beginning of this one. I think it'll be helpful. So what we did in the last video, we refactored data access to the hero service class, registered the hero service as the provider of its service at the root level so that it can be injected anywhere in the application. We used Angular dependency injection to inject it into a component. We gave the hero service get data method an asynchronous. We gave the hero services get data method an asynchronous signature, discovered observable in the RxJS observable library, used RxJS of to return an observable of mock heroes. That's when we did the observable of hero array. The component's ng on init lifecycle hook calls the hero service method, not the constructor. And this is, not all of this is in the last video. This is actually the last whole section where we added services, which is actually split up between 2 videos. For those of you joining late, you'd want to go back 2 videos if you want to see this, the first part of the summary. You created a message service for loosely coupled communication between classes, which is great, right? We got to use that in, I think, 3 different places throughout the app. Very handy. And the hero service injected into a component is created with another injected service message service. So we got that service in service scenario, as they called it. And before we go to the next section, in classic fashion, I forgot to make a commit at the end of the last video after we made a change. So let's just go in here and just say add styles to messages. Done and done. Let's close everything there and we'll move on to the next section of the Tour of Heroes tutorial, which is adding navigation. So, add navigation with routing. There are new requirements for the Tour of Heroes app. Add a dashboard view. Add the ability to navigate between the heroes and dashboard views. When users click a hero name in either view, navigate to a detail view of the selected hero. And when users click a deep link in an email, open the detail view for a particular hero. For the sample application, this is in every section, we don't do that. So yeah, when you're done, users will be able to navigate the application like this. So this is sort of a review of a illustration that we saw earlier in this tutorial. So if you click on, let's see, this is dashboard. This is our dashboard view. If we click heroes, it brings us over to the heroes view, which is this list. This is basically more or less what our app looks like right now on the right. And you get some, what do you get? Oh, you can click view. Oh, sorry, there's 3 pages. I was reading this a little wrong. So we've got our dashboard, which is, you got the tiled top heroes thing. If you click one of those, brings you to the details page for that hero. So basically we're gonna probably take that details component that we had. This is where it's gonna come in handy, right? We didn't have this coupled in our old component. You can just plop it on a different page later. And that will also have the same navigation that our dashboard has. Click heroes, brings us back to the list. Looks pretty straightforward, but complicated enough that we'll probably use most of the base feature set of Angular's routing, I'm sure. Okay, so add the app routing module is the next section here. In Angular, the best practice is to load and configure the router in a separate top-level module that is dedicated to routing and imported by the root app module. By convention, the module class name is app routing module, and it belongs in the app routing module.ts in the source/app folder. So use the CLI to generate it. And I'm gonna do this by hand just for the sake of practice. with the Angular CLI, but it looks like we have this new command. I don't believe we've used this yet. Generate module. It takes a name. In this case, it's going to be app routing. And we have a couple flags here, which I don't know what they are, but it looks like there's a explanation down here. So -- flat puts the file in source/app instead of its own folder. Okay. And -- module equals app tells the CLI to register it in the imports array of the app module. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's do that. So I'll open up the code editor here, get my terminal going, and clean up whatever mess that is. And let's see, we wanted ng generate module, and then whatever the name of the module was. I think for us it was routing. Is it app router? App routing. App routing, and then we had that -- flat flag, and then we had a -- let me try to remember this. What was the other flag? I have to look. Oh, it was module. Module, right. So flat means we don't want to put it in any folder, and then we can specify that we actually want to register this module with another module. Okay. So I'll hit enter and see what happens. Merge conflict. You know why there's a merge conflict is because at the beginning of this tutorial, it didn't tell me which options to select when we generated our application, and I said I wanted routing, but I should have said no. Because as it turns out, we probably already have app routing module right here, right? And I'm assuming we also probably already have it registered in imports, and we do. So we'll pretend like we just only did that now, for the sake of just this tutorial. Maybe, I mean, I think this is all open source, right? Like if I go to the top here and I click that little pen, it takes me here. So, I mean, I could complain, or I could just open up a pull request and fix that. So maybe I will do that one day, if I remember to. All right, so we pretended to do that, and it says the generated file looks like this. So let's just make sure our file looks the same. I'm gonna close that terminal, and we'll open up the routing module. This is definitely different than what we had. So maybe I should just copy this, and I'll just replace all of this with that for the sake of following along. Oh, I see. So I'm just gonna put it back to exactly what it was. So let's undo that. And I'm actually just gonna copy and paste this just in case, but it does look at a very quick glance, it looks like exactly the same code. Let's see if we can spot any difference here. I'm gonna paste. Oh no, okay, so we got a couple routes registered. That's the difference. By a couple, I mean one. Looks like we got heroes, and looks like this is how you register what component gets loaded with that. So I wonder if that's already working before I even do anything. So if I go /heroes, cool. Yeah, it's already working. Assuming that the app doesn't just take you to the main. Yeah, no, that is definitely a valid route now. Whoops. Let me refresh. Okay, so get back on track here. Before I forget, let's just do a quick commit. We'll just say pretend to generate the app routing module. Yeah, / for reals though. We added the heroes route. All right. And I don't need that open anymore, and we'll go back here. So first, the app routing module file imports router module and routes so the application can have routing functionality. The next import heroes component will give the router somewhere to go once you configure the routes. Sorry, I read that weird, I think. File imports router module and routes. Yeah, so that. The next import, right, okay. So notice that the common module references and declarations array are unnecessary, so are no longer part of the app routing module. Oh, why was that unnecessary? Let me go back to, oh, I lost it. Oh, no, you know what? That is the code I'm thinking of is actually just in the tutorial here. So by default, it's supposed to generate this. I get, oh, just because we're not using common module. Is that why it's unnecessary? Why are we supposed to notice that it's unnecessary? Notice that the common module references and declarations array are unnecessary, so they're no longer part of app. Following sections explain the rest of that routing module in detail. Okay, yeah, I guess we just don't need that. So we will go here, routes. The next part of the file is where you configure routes. Routes tell the router which view to display when a user clicks a link or pastes a URL into the browser address bar, just like we did just a second ago when we typed /heroes in our app. Okay, so since app-routing.module.ts already imports heroes component, you can use it in the routes array, just like that, which we already did. A typical Angular route has two properties: path, which is a string that matches the URL in the browser address bar, and component, the component that the router should create when navigating to this route. This tells the router to match the URL to path heroes and display the heroes component when the URL is something like localhost 4200/heroes, like we just did a minute ago. And okay, so router module.forRoute, the @ng module metadata initializes the router and starts it listening for browser location changes. So we've got let me read that again, sorry. The ng module metadata initializes the router and starts it listening for browser location changes. Right. So the following line adds the router module to the app routing module imports array and configures it with the routes in one step by calling router module.forRoute. I see. So we're sort of doing a 2-in-1 here. We're importing the router module and then also registering our routes. And I guess forRoute would mean like whatever, I'm assuming means like, well, actually, let's just read it. Creates and configures a module with all the router providers and directives. Optionally sets up an application listener to perform an initial navigation when registering the ng module at the root import as follows. And it even gives you an example of how to use it when you're importing it into the. So I guess this is specifically to be used when you're importing this into the root. So that makes me think you can have like nested routers in Angular. Maybe, just based on what we read kind of at the beginning in the very first episode, that might be related to how the code splitting works, I wonder. Or maybe not, I don't know. So, the following line adds route module, read that already. There's a little aside here. So the method is called forRoute because you configure the router at the application's root level. The forRoute method supplies the service providers and directives needed for routing and performs the initial navigation based on the current browser's URL. Gotcha. Next, app routing module exports router module, so it will be available throughout the application. And that makes sense to me. So add router outlet. Open the app component template and replace the app heroes element with a router outlet element. So this guy. Is this like a built-in thing or just available because we're exporting the router module, I wonder? Let's go to, first of all, which component did it say? App component? Yep. App component template. And so it wanted us to replace, I think, the App Heroes one, right? App Heroes is going to get replaced with this guy. How's that affect our application? Breaks it. Probably because we don't have navigation set up yet. Excuse me. So, and then but it didn't, we don't have a compilation error. It's just not rendering anything, which is important. So I wonder if I don't export this, I'm assuming that that component comes from that. So now we do get a compilation error. So we'll bring that back. And let's see, the app component template no longer needs app heroes because the application will only display the heroes component when the user navigates to it. The router outlet tells the router where to display routed views. The router outlet is one of the router directives that became available to the app component because app module imports app routing module, which exported router module, which we figured out for ourselves just by playing around. The ng generate command you ran at the start of this tutorial added this import because of the -- module app flag. Right, and we did. Actually, almost forgot to commit. Just say add router outlet to app component. Yeah, we did see that in our app module. That did get set up here, not because we ran the command, but in our case, it's just because we selected that as an option when we first generated this way back in I think episode 1. So because of that, flag did that. If you manually created app routing module TS or use a tool other than the CLI to do so, you'll need to remember to import app routing module into app module and add it to the imports array of the ng module decorator. Try it. You should still be running with this CLI command. I am. And it's just telling us we can go there to /, which we can. And we did this already, but it's telling us we can go here and we'll see our heroes. So you should see the familiar heroes master detail view when you go here. Remove that from the URL in the browser bar, and the browser should refresh and display the application title, but just not the list of heroes, which is true. Saw that already too. Okay, adding navigation link with router link. Ideally, users should be able to click a link to navigate rather than pasting a route URL into the address bar. Really? Who does that? Add a nav element, and within that, an anchor element that, when clicked, triggers navigation to the heroes component. The revised app component template looks like this. And I am going to take advantage of this opportunity and just copy that, because I just don't feel like writing it. So we'll go to our app component, not .ts, but .html, and we'll replace all of that with this. So now we got our nav item here with a router link attribute. Different than property binding though. So this would be, in Angular terms, I guess you'd call this a directive, right? Which is being brought in, I can only assume, from the router module. So let's go and let's test that out. We got a link here, and we can hover over it. It says down there in the bottom corner, you can see. Oh, actually, you might not be able to see. Weird kind of glitch with OBS. You don't see what the link is. That's okay. I'll click it and I'll show you what it is. It's /heroes. And yeah, so now we're back to the page that we've been familiar with so far in this guide, and let's go back into the tutorial and carry on. And actually, you know what? We're not going to carry on very far. just because I'm realizing where we're at with time. We're at about 20 minutes. So let's finish this off, and then I'm gonna end the episode. So a router link attribute is set to the /heroes, and the string that the router matches to the route the heroes component. The router link is the selector for the router link directive that turns user clicks into router navigations. It's another of the public directives in the router module. The browser refreshes and displays the application title and heroes link, but not the heroes list. Click the link. The address bar updates to /heroes and the list of heroes appears. And we don't need to try all that because we just did it before I read it. But make this and future navigation links look better by adding, look better by adding private CSS styles to app component.css as listed in the final code review. But we're not going to do that in this episode. We're going to wait until the next one, where it looks like we will be adding a dashboard view. So thanks for hanging out with me and watching me work through this tutorial. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button down below if you like the video. Feel free to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter, DanFletcherDev. And if you ever want to catch me on Twitch someday, it's the original Fletch. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye.